What is up YouTube, and welcome to this The Stand episode 8 and penultimate episode before next week's season finale. This show has been a wild ride, and after last week's snooze fest we got this thriller ride of radiation poisoning, lightning going mad, and Flag losing his believers. Yes, if you enjoyed the video then please do drop a like down below and subscribe with notifications on so you never miss a video. The episode opens with the Boulder leaders who survived the journey towards Las Vegas, and they're inside a jail after arriving there last episode, as Glenn says when asked that this is kind of what he expected. The people there are mainly scared of Flag and how the crucifixion means that Flag can't rely on the support of his people like Abigail did, and well, he uses fear and intimidation to make sure that they actually follow him and continue to be a source of his powers, just like we saw at the end of the episode. We learn that Stu is alive and is in a sort of mirror of Harold's situation where they consider ending it all, which Harold did. However, Stu here has Kojak with him. He thinks of ending it all, but is saved by Tom Cullen at the end of the episode. Larry and co are sadly now in a kangaroo court in Las Vegas as they are accused of sedition and being spies as Lloyd leads the court. It's a shame we never got more of Lloyd, as he's one of the most interesting and fun characters to watch, despite being a total and utter D-bag. They are most unlikely set to be executed, except Flag will give them a stay of execution if they pledge allegiance to Randall Flagg. And as we saw this episode, it explains why he allows this sort of stay of execution for many people throughout the season, as he needs the allegiance, he needs the adoration to have his powers. Now, Lloyd mocks them in a pretty fun scene, however Glenn has had enough and asks whose authority is this court under, and he is told that obviously it is the Dark Lord himself. And Glenn just mocks the whole situation as Flag watches. Glenn says how Flag is nothing and the people are just scared of him, and that's how he gets his power, which is very, very true. And he really does bring it here, and I thought the actor who played him was superb throughout the entire show. Glenn is set to be executed as he is in contempt of this clown court by Lloyd, but he just can't do it right away. We know from the episode before where we learned about the flashback of how Lloyd got in this situation, and he's just not into killing, it's just not who he is. Glenn doesn't seem to care that he may be killed, and it becomes evident why Abigail sent this group there, and it was to stop Flag having his followers and let them see the word of a better life. And we see Glenn killed in the end, and the audience seem to question their life choices, and we have Lloyd kind of be silent and is really angry seemingly at himself as Flag starts to lose just a small bit of his power. After this, Larry and the other final survivor are sentenced to death and put in the kitchen, as one of them is very scared of their death being made a public show of, which of course it will, as this is all about intimidation. However, everyone's not so favourite corpse bride, Nadine, comes in and Larry tries to get her to realise what has happened to her, as she finally does look in the mirror and has a self-realization and becomes disgusted at herself as what she's become as she finally goes into labour. Now in the book this did happen with her going crazy, but it happened while her and Flag got down to it. She felt completed until this self-realization, but now gives birth while knowing something is very, very wrong. She heads off to actually give birth, but has had enough as she uses the pebble she was given to jump out of the window and die. Now again, it is a bit different in the book here, as in the book he or she did goad Randall Flagg into killing the unborn child, and well, it's just a bit different here as it's changed around a bit, and I kind of like this one a bit better. Now, this is one of many cascading effects and problems for the Dark Man as he starts to lose power. She said before how Larry was right before she jumped out the window, and this no doubt angers Flag and is the start of Larry using his power and his self-righteousness to try and get people on side. Lloyd is having an existential crisis in the hallway with the entertainment director of the Las Vegas hellscape. However, Flag gives them both a job, which turns out to be a gruesome task of getting revenge on Larry, which involves bringing Nadine's destroyed head on a platter to him. Now, clearly, this does not work as an intimidation tactic, as Larry says how Nadine was, yes, Flag's queen, the most protected person, which means that no one is safe under Randall Flag, and implies that Lloyd is not safe following all of Flag's instructions, even taking the pair to be executed. And it shows just that Flag does not care about anyone, he just cares about the adoration and the power that he takes from them. Flag addresses the crowd and says how the apocalypse started way before the Captain Trips hit, as there was not enough to go around, and this explains why he chose who he did to join him. He chose desperate people for a better life, or, well, anything in society, which sadly would have included the worst of society, a slam dunk sect of worshippers for him, as he tries to rally them by saying he has a nuke coming and he will use a plane to drop it on the people who really, well, at least perceived to take everything from them once society was, actually working. Now, this would be a big thing if this did happen. Larry decides that he has no fears, he fears no evil, and eventually the crowd start to say this too, as Flag's power is reduced heavily. However, there's just one problem. The trash can man is coming in with his nuke in one of the worst scenes of the season, which to be honest is saying something, as a farce happens with Flag asking why the nuke was brought in, as it should be going to the plane, as the trash can man is afflicted heavily by the radiation. Now, in the book, the nuke was actually brought under Trash Can's own idea due to the man killing Flag's pilots, as just like the book, an act of God occurs and destroys all of the people in the casino, including the Boulder leader group, as well as Abigail's message from God becoming true, as only Stu will return and Randall Flag is then destroyed by God, it seems, himself. It did seem like a bit of a farce, to be honest, as there isn't really any way to do it. Randall Flag was a real dull and boring villain, not down to Skarsgård, because he really had the gravitas and presence in the role, but it seemed to be down to the writing, making him a Thanos-style villain rarely used and in the shadows. His death at the hand of God and the fact his power was reduced by Larry's lead of a chant, it deserved more of a nuanced look into this deep power and lore, as in King's works, it was really, really interesting having this character, and it would have been welcomed, but no, we started with a big budget, interesting story, and regressed into a simplistic throwback to the worst days of Stars and Showtime. We then see the nuke go off, and Joe says to Franny how the Dark Man is done, but it did look like he disappeared there, so it could be curious, and there was an epilogue in one of the real kind of anniversary editions of the books, but I won't real spoil that for you here. Weirdly, there is a whole episode left for the wrap-up for, well, Stu's return, and including the brand new ending. However, the tone is weird for this show, and I do wonder really what would have happened if HBO had been behind this, because it really did deserve more, albeit I have enjoyed the ride somewhat and joining you here on YouTube. Maybe giving a story of this magnitude to the Fault in the Stars guy was a bad idea. I mean, just look at New Mutants, which, funnily enough, I didn't mind. It just wasn't actually that good. So I'm interested to see where this goes next week. We'll be doing a ending explained for the season as we cover the finale next week. But join me here tomorrow for WandaVision, and Saturday we'll have a WandaVision episode as well, and Sunday will be American Gods. But that's it for this video, so please do drop a like down below. Please do subscribe with notifications on, and do be awesome to each other. And your homework for this week is to give a compliment to a loved one. I'll see you soon, and goodbye.